Number one Ibble Dibble here. Welcome to my review of Tom Bower's Revenge. Watch Suits tonight. So proud of my amazing wife, Trevor posted on the 24th of January 2013, and then went to the Oscars in Los Angeles without Meghan. Omid Scobie, Meghan's self-styled spokesman, would interpret that as a snub. According to Scobie, Meghan had always mentioned her dream to go to the Oscars, especially as a star. In reality, she refused to join her husband. Trevor, she knew, was spending every night in bars, supposedly to get work. Living apart had made them incompatible. Some who knew Trevor were not surprised by her decision. They cast him as a brash acquired taste. Often he acted with self-importance. She had learnt a lot from him, and his financial support had been invaluable. But there was nothing more to absorb, nothing more to gain. So I did a little digging around, trying to understand more about Trevor's character. None of us behave perfectly all the time, but there's a difference between being outspoken, brash, rude, and a jerk. So which is Trevor? Firstly, I could not find a lot about him in the public domain, which is a good thing in my opinion. But check out what I did find from about 4 months ago.
How would I describe Trevor in one word? In one word, I would describe Trevor as authentic.
And I would describe Trevor in one word as dynamic.
If I had to describe Trevor in one word, it would be tenacious.
I would describe Trevor Ingleton as involved.
What I would say about Nick and Trevor, not just because of the 13 years that they have run probably the premier film club in this country, but they also model the kind of give back culture that we want to create in our boys.
From here, you could see the Hollywood sign and you would have no idea how doable it is. Nobody's coming over here and explaining to these kids that it's very doable. And that was a big motivator for us, is how can we help out and make that happen.
There are very, very few people that you meet in your life that you think are actually have genuine just respect and integrity and walk through life in just a way that, of truth and of just great high moral values.
It's easy to get excited about something for a month or for a year or for a couple of years. But to show the devotion that Trevor has shown to the school for the amount of time he has shown it is something I find, really, really noteworthy.
That's nuts. It's nuts. It's been 12 years. I can't believe we've been doing anything 12 years. But now we've been doing it 12 years, so we have, students that are former students that are now working in the business that we've been able to help them get their feet in the business.
It's so easy in Hollywood, in our positions of privilege and success often, to do the fundraising work, to do the work that is like, okay, great, I'm sitting in my office and I make a bunch of phone calls and raise money. And that is important work, but I'm always more impressed with the people that are boots on the ground and really put time and energy into the people.
These young men are going to have the run of the future. And
we would say that we want one of our young men to hire us one day. That's right. This is why we've been doing it so long, that one day they will hire us, and just when we think we're out, they'll give us a job, right?
So apparently Trevor started volunteering this way 12 years ago. That's before he even married Meghan. From what these people are saying, he's definitely got a big personality, but also a dedication to helping out real people in tangible ways with consistency over a long period of time. Isn't that all we want our Duchess to do? In the third series of Suits, her fee was increased to $75,000 per episode, and the run was increased to 16 episodes. Her total annual income would be £1.2 million. For the first time, there was the prospect of residuals. With her own money, she felt there was no duty or obligation to anyone but herself. In hindsight, her marriage seemed to be transactional. A FedEx envelope delivered to Trevor's home was a bombshell. Inside was Meghan's diamond engagement ring and her wedding ring. There was no note. The end of the marriage in spring 2013 came totally out of the blue, observed a friend. Trevor was left feeling that he was a piece of something stuck to the bottom of her shoe. This FedEx rings thing is something Meghan is truly infamous for. However, they were married for just 15 months and did not live together during their marriage. Do you think Meghan really owed Trevor a written explanation and heartfelt apology? Or do you think it's fair that she was afraid it might be used against her in the future and did it over the phone if she did it at all? Do you think it genuinely came out of the blue, or do you think Trevor was just not paying attention? The only thing sadder than not getting a note would have been getting a note like, as per our last email. As I mentioned in my previous video, I don't think Meghan ever wanted to marry Trevor. I think she was planning on divorcing him the day she said yes. He was just her plan B for financial security until either Suits got renewed or she got something else, some other job. I also think once she got invited into Toronto high society, she realized she could get someone richer than Trevor, and that, in combination with Suits getting renewed for their third season, was it for her. Meghan called Pretty to announce that her 15-month marriage was over. Splitting from Trevor, Pretty realized, showed that Meghan was calculating, very calculating, in the way she handled people in relationships. She is very strategic in the way she cultivated circles of friends. Once she decides you're not part of her life, she can be very cold. It's this shutdown mechanism she has. There's nothing to negotiate. She made her decision, and that's it. After reflection, Pretty called Meghan, but the shutters had fallen. She wouldn't confide in me. It was obvious to me she wasn't the friend I'd grown up with anymore. She had a new circle of friends. Pretty was shaken. The end of our friendship was like a death. I mourned it for quite a while. To me, this is actually sadder than the divorce with Trevor. Nanaki and Meghan were friends since they were literally 3 years old, so around 30 years. Of course, it's natural to grow apart as you get older, but most people are able to retain some sort of cordial relationship with their old friends, where at least they speak to them a couple times a year, see them here or there. It sounds like Meghan iced her out completely, which is just unnecessary in my opinion. What do you think? Looking for solace, Trevor called Thomas Markle. Meghan, he discovered, had not told her father the news. Both men were surprised. I explained to Trevor that Meghan's real love was being an actor. You marry the business. I keep telling people that. I married the business. Meghan married the business. That ruins a lot of your relationships. Thomas, stop with the marry the business nonsense. I actually feel bad for him because I think he truly believes it, and it's just one example of the toxic workplace culture that permeates Hollywood and many other workplaces. No one should ever have to choose a job over their health and family relationships, yet many do by force or necessity every day. I wonder if this was a wake-up call to Trevor too, as in, he also married the business and never even thought of joining his wife to work as a team on the Canadian scene, where perhaps he would also be able to benefit from being a bigger fish in a small pond, especially with the Mulroney's TV connections. The Engelson family was less sanguine. Devastated by Meghan's betrayal of their son and themselves, Leslie Engelson was particularly hurt. In their close-knit world, she said, daughters-in-law are not unfaithful. The Engelsons blamed Trevor's mistake to marry a girl from a broken family without a common background and no sense of loyalty. Well, I can't say I'm impressed by the parental reactions on either side. I don't think his family sounds really welcoming and supportive. I'm not impressed by the way his mother came out swinging. The term broken home to me is extremely outdated and judgmental. Same thing with claiming Jewish Long Islanders don't cheat like these Hollywood Gentiles. What a farce. She's clearly too naive or proud to know half her neighbors were cruising meatpacking for dessert before they went home to their wives for dinner. Although Trevor resisted invitations to explain, he did tell a friend that domestic life with Meghan bore no relationship to the demure young woman who fluttered her eyelids on TV screens. Marrying a mercurial, dramatic, shouty, and difficult actress who demanded a role in his films had been a challenge. In retaliation, Meghan's friends portrayed Trevor as envious and resentful of her success in Suits. Until then, Trevor had enjoyed Meghan's dependence on him. Moody, resentful, and picking fights all the time is exactly how I picture Meghan behind closed doors. I think the difference between Trevor and Harry is that Trevor sounds like the kind of guy who would fight back. Harry strikes me as the kind of guy who accepts all of this more or less silently, and in past, when he's had enough from this or that girl, just dumps them. But he's in so deep with Meghan now. The royal wedding, the kids, the Oprah interview. I think the relationship with Trevor taught Meghan how to be a better abuser, how to pick her victim better, and balance her mix of abuse and love bombing in a more addictive way. She knew someone like Trevor with a strong personality, a strong sense of what he wanted and what was right for him, and a strong support network would never let her have the upper hand. Harry may have a strong personality, but when Meghan came upon him, he was having mental health struggles, perhaps somewhat of an identity crisis, as his place in the succession dropped and dropped again, and he approached 40 without his own partner or family. And Harry had that immature temperament to cut out any friend or family member who expressed any doubts about Meghan. Meghan showed no sign of remorse about Trevor's inevitably hurt feelings. At 32, she was free of all the baggage of her parents, marriage, and hustling in Hollywood. 2 years later, she would describe her next step. You create the identity you want for yourself, just as my ancestors did when they were given their freedom. She added, I dream pretty big, but truly I had no idea my life could be so awesome. I am the luckiest girl in the world, without question. This has got to go down in the annals of the stupidest things Meghan has ever said. She compared her divorce from a C-list producer / highly paid gig on an unimportant cable TV show / making a couple high society friends in Canada to the emancipation of the slaves in the American South. Meghan, your ancestors were not rebranding on social media and making new friends. Your ancestors were struggling to survive in a world that remained completely adverse to them. It's very akin to her claim that South Africans danced in the street for her, just like they did when apartheid ended. I also want to note that this seems to be about the time that Meghan started staging paparazzi photos of herself. These days, her fake paparazzi photos are on Backgrid, but back then she worked with Splash, who, by the way, she single-handedly put out of business in 2019 by suing them for invasion of privacy, taking an illicit photo of Archie and selling it. So much for old times, I guess. I'm part of the Horse and Pony show this year. She wrote in her anonymous blog about the USA Network's launch of Suits to prospective advertisers in New York. They'll roll out the red carpet in a major way because they want me on show. The talent, they call us. Clearly excited by her introduction to first-class flights, chauffeurs, and luxury hotels, she continued, This is part of the job and it's fucking awesome. If you are pursuing television, then realize that you have already sold out and take your big fancy paycheck because you can now. Flashing those pearly whites, veneers, and working the carpet with your sexy little body, Spanx, is part of the job description you jumped on board for when you signed on that dotted line. Well, we hardly needed to unearth an anonymous blog post to know that Meghan is shallow, greedy, and loves attention, did we? As part of the promotion for the cable network in July 2013, Meghan and Patrick J. Adams, alias Mike Ross in Suits, were interviewed by Larry King in a small, dark room in a cheap New York hotel. Meghan looked unusually unattractive, with greasy hair, rumpled clothes, and peaky eyes. Throughout the soft interview, she gazed adoringly at Adams. While Adams described his character as a cross between Mark Zuckerberg and Steve Jobs, Meghan edged closer to her fellow actor. Asked a direct question, Adams emphatically denied to King that he and Meghan had a sexual relationship. King clearly disbelieved Adams. Meghan just smiled.
Who Meghan is Rachel?
Rachel is the paralegal at the firm.
Seductive?
I don't know. Do you think so, Larry?
Just a comment. Are you single?
I am not. I am not married, but not single.
So what do you think? Do you think Larry is being unkind, or do you think that these two look like he interrupted them in the middle of a coked-up sexcapade?
You start me again.
I'm not married, but I'm not single, right? That's the matter. We have a girlfriend, but we're not married.
I see.
Not married.
I see.
Not married.
I see.
Not married.
While Meghan had initiated her divorce at this point, Patrick J. Adams was just about to propose to his girlfriend, Pretty Little Liars Troia and Belisario.
So the two of you are not involved? off the show?
No.
No. That would never work.
So why is there so much chemistry here?
I think because we knew each other early on. You're picking up on something.
Well, I think TV sees us a certain way, right? We've done this.
When you look at this interview, do you think there was something between them, or just a super congenial work-wife, work-husband relationship?
Is your girlfriend in the business?
She is. She's on a show called Pretty Little Liars over down in Los Angeles.
Everything you do is lying here.
What? There's always lying. I have lied. I have not said one true thing in this whole interview.
This whole thing of it. You know, we used to do that and walk the mouth out.
Larry asked a great question towards the end of the interview.
Do you feel secure in an insecure world?
As much as you can, I think. You know, I think, look, this show, we're so lucky that it's doing so well, and I think that we have a few good seasons still in us.
We're secure in this moment right now. I mean, I couldn't pay my rent before I got this job, so that security is nice. But
this makes me think that Patrick J. Adams and Meghan Markle were two peas in a pod. Tryon Bellisario's father is an extremely wealthy, old-school TV producer, director, creator, and philanthropist. Tryon dumped Patrick around the time that Suits started, but he did everything he could to get her back, and they're married with kids now. Meghan was never going to settle for her equal. She always wanted to marry up, and that's exactly what I think happened. I'd like to end tonight's video a little bit differently. The Queen is apparently not doing that well at Balmoral. I think I speak for us all when I say, God save the Queen. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.